Welcome everyone to a long-awaited what if. What if Deku was reborn as the Indominus Rex Part 2? Now let's get down to business. Yeehaw! Sorry. Anyway, we start off where we last left off with Izuku saying uh-oh because he just got spotted by Yasmina. Sorry. As he says in dinosaur language. Oh, sorry, if you couldn't hear me, I'll say it again. He says in dinosaur language, saying, hi, can I help you? As Yasmina just basically screams, saying, ah! Guys, run! As the rest of the campers say, what? Whoa, guys, look, Yasmina's running, and it's the Indominus. As Izuku says, well, not really, you know what I mean. As Izuku says, wait, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm only want to ask some questions and I need your help. While the other campers just start running. Yasmina is all the way in the lead, basically in front of the group at top speed. And it's basically the same way how all the other campers run. But Izuku's right behind him. To them, they only hear roaring and growls and a few of the bleats from the goat, while really it's Izuku saying, wait, I just want to ask some questions. Where is everyone? Why is everyone afraid? They keep running, and eventually they get tired. First one to go is Ben, as Ben is basically wheezing. Because let's say he has asthma in this, and he caught it from his grandparents, let's say that. Or runs in the family. As basically he says, guys, I think I can't catch up. As he basically looks into his little bag and pulls out an asthma pump. As he basically takes 2 puffs from it, because if you don't know, I actually have asthma as well, so yeah, taking medicine every few days or every day is hell. Anyway. As Ben says, much better. I can catch up with it. But as Ben hears footsteps right behind him and growls. As to Izuku's perspective, he says, finally, one of you stopped. Now I'm just ready here to ask questions. Don't be afraid of my appearance. Okay? As Ben basically says, well, this is where I die. As Izuku thinks, this is where I die? Do you think I'm gonna kill you? As Ben sees the green Indominus back up with a slight worried look in its face as Ben says, "Guys, I think I just scared it." As Darius says, "Ben? What's going on?" As Ben says, "Darius, there you are. I think I scared it." As he says this, he gets picked up by the green indominus. Darius, looking from afar, to Izuku's perspective, he's basically trying to say, "It's okay, kid. It's okay. It's okay. No need to be afraid. No need to be afraid. Don't worry. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm just here to ask questions. Right? Are you okay?" As Ben is basically screaming now because he's just gotten picked up by a dinosaur that's practically meant to be bigger than the T-Rex. As Darius is basically saying, "Guys, not one of them, sorry." As Darius says, "Guys, it got Ben." As the rest of the campers say, "What?" As all of them run back to the source of the screaming. And they see Ben trying to get out of the indominus' grasp. But the indominus basically patting his head like you'd expect to see someone trying to keep someone calm or keep a dog calm or a cat. Basically someone petting an animal. As this goat basically looks at Ben, giving off a sorry. As Darius says, "Wait, guys," as the rest of the campers say, "What, Darius? Ben is either gonna get eaten or killed. And you want to ask questions?" As Darius says, "I think it's not gonna do either of those. I think it's just curious." And as he says this, Ben stops screaming and he says, "What?" As this green indominus looks over to Darius and gives off the face like, finally someone gets it. To Izuku, he actually says that, but they could only hear slight growls. As for Ben, or not for Ben, as for Cheese is basically doing what a happy boxer dog does. Runs around in circles. As Izuku puts down Ben, as Ben says, "That was either scary or a relief. Either way, it was scary." As the rest of the campers are left questioning like, "Wait, Darius has got a point. It didn't eat the goat." And it seems to be friends with the goat. As Darius says, "I'm gonna try something either stupid or reckless." As the campers say, "Ben, no." As Darius, yes, Darius. Sorry. As Darius says, "I'm gonna do something stupid or reckless." As the rest of the campers say, "Darius, no." As they walk, not they, Darius walks over to the indominus and says, "Wanna join our group?" As Izuku lets out a loud roar, but to them, It is a loud roar, yes, but to Izuku, he says, yes. Yes, I do. Not yes, but more loudly. As the whole jungle hears this, as it catches someone's attention, someone with a vengeance. But hey, let's not get into that. But as Izuku says yes, or they just hear a loud roar, the rest of the campers get scared. As Izuku says, oh, sorry, I meant yes. As he basically nods his head. As Darius says, huh, you're very enthusiastic, or something like that. Whatever you are, you're a smart dino. As Izuku says, dino. Whatever. As he starts riding in the dirt, and it's either Japanese or English. I'm gonna say English, because, yeah. He hasn't learned Japanese writing yet, because I believe that in the 4-year-olds, well, I'm assuming, and I know what that means. Makes a donkey out of you and me. Sorry. But as the campers notice that he's riding something into the dirt, and he basically writes down, my name is Izuku Midoriya. As basically all the campers are left wide-eyed, mouth dropped, staring at Izuku. As Izuku gives off the face like, what? Do I have something in my teeth? As Darius says, yep, this is the smartest dinosaur I have ever seen. Wow. As Cheese is basically sitting down now. As they hear a loud roar, but it was not from Izuku. It was from something else. As they keep walking through the jungle, with Izuku following now, they enter next to a Carnotaurus paddock. And the campers mention something like, is Toro here? As Izuku thinks in his head, Toro? Who's he? As they hear thumps behind them, all the campers turn around as Izuku also does the same. Izuku sees what appears to be a dinosaur with tiny arms and 2 horns on its head. We all know as this Toro the Carnotaurus. As Izuku says, geez, what happened to you? As Toro says, oh, they did, and I have never tasted blood in a long time. So why won't we share a meal? As Izuku says, ew, gross. Never. As Izuku finally clicks something, and he says, oh no, guys, we gotta move. As Izuku just picks up the pace as the rest of the campers follow him. And let's say Ben hopped onto his back not to be the last one. As they kept running and running and running, and eventually returned to the Ankylosaurus jungle. Well, Izuku does. The campers get to the Ankylosaurus jungle, and the Carnotaurus does not want to get its face smashed in again. As they're breathing heavily, and as Izuku says, "Okay, I think we lost him." As Darius says, "Okay, guys, I think we lost Toro." As Izuku says, "I just said that." With an annoyed look on his face, and Darius says, "What?" As Izuku basically says, "Forget it." Oh, and Darius take all the credit. As they only just hear angry growls, like, as Izuku keeps walking on, and then all of a sudden he, trips over something. As he says, "Ow! What the hell? Oh, no." As the rest of the campers see a dead Ankylosaurus with a not face, but with the top half of his head almost torn apart. Like sides ripped open. The only thing that's nearby is a gyrosphere and Izuku. As the claws look similar to Izuku. Well, the claw marks on its thighs look similar to Izuku's, but a lot larger. Because let's say Izuku's smaller than his sister. As Darius says, "Guys, this is the work of the indominus." As Kenji says, "What do you mean, Darius? Who knows? Maybe it's Izuku over there." Because, let's say, they're calling him Izuku because Izuku just told them his name by writing his name in the dirt with his finger. As Darius says, "Kenji, the claw marks are too wide to be Izuku's claws." As they hear rustling through the grass, Ben and Izuku are covering their eyes in fear. The rest of the campers getting ready to run. As Izuku hears basically saying, "Ben!" He uncovers his eyes, basically doing the classic "Is it gone?" where the fingers split and like the eye pokes through a gap. As Ben says, "Bumpy! I haven't seen you so long, little girl." As Kenji says, This is cute and all, but how do you know if that's the same dinosaur?" As Ben says, "Her little head bump. Dr. Wu said that she was asymmetrical and that was a bad thing. And he's wrong that it's bad." And he basically says the same thing about him ranting about, the reason not to go to Jurassic World. As Izuku basically walks over to see Bumpy. Bumpy is slightly scared, saying, "Please don't hurt me." As Izuku says, "I won't hurt you. Are you okay?" As the goat, or Cheese, pops out of Izuku's back. Because let's say Cheese was riding as well. As Cheese walks down from Izuku, because let's say the goat basically does the Spider-Man thing. Not swing from web to web, but wall crawls on Izuku's side and just jumps down. As Cheese and Bumpy are sniffing each other to see if they're a threat or not. And they basically do Cheese does the happy goat stuff, jump, jump. while Bumpy is just doing cute Ankylosaurus things, smiling and all. As as the campers basically say, we cannot bring Bumpy along, as Ben comes back with, okay, so if we can't bring Bumpy along, Izuku has to go. Because if we can't bring a dinosaur along, wouldn't that mean we can't bring another one? A non-meat eating one? As Izuku thinks, why does everyone keep thinking that I'm a dinosaur? Do they know it's just a quirk or something? Because let's say the campers, most of them don't have quirks. But Mina does. Not Yasmina, but Mina. Because if you don't remember, I replaced Brooklyn with Mina. Anyway, back to the story. As basically, they say, fine, but Bumpy has to ride on Izuku's back. As Bumpy says, what? Looking up at Izuku, and Izuku's lowering his tail as for Bumpy to climb on, saying, come on, hop on. As many failed attempts go by, and Bumpy's on Izuku's back with cheese. As they're walking through the jungle, they get to a genetics, not the jeep, forget that. But, well, they notice that there's a van nearby. As they take it, Izuku follows them. Unknowingly, he's attracting someone near. As they get to the genetics lab, and same thing goes on, but Izuku's outside keeping guard. As Dave, the scientist who is on his birthday, says, you have a vehicle? As Darius says, yeah. Should thank Ben for that because he's the one that spotted it. As Dave basically runs out of the science room and exits the building. Noticing that there's a green indominus nearby, or next to the building, he runs faster because he thinks it's gonna eat him. As Izuku just looks at him and just, that's a new one. As he watches Dave go into the vehicle as the other campers follow, Yasmina running far ahead by getting tripped, but getting tripped over by Bumpy, yes. As she asks, Ben, can you control that dinosaur of yours? As Ben says, Bumpy would never do that. Something's up. As they hear an indominus. It's not Izuku, it's further away. It's his sister. As his sister looks at Izuku, Izuku sees her. And Izuku says, hello. As he takes off into the same container place where they tried to lose the indominus in. As Indy says, get back here, you little trickster. As the campers follow Izuku, trying to hide by the crates or within the crates. And as Indy's trying to fight Izuku, but Izuku keeps dodging him, using his tail for fighting back. Basically, like a scorpion. As Mina falls over and basically hurts one of her broken horns and says, "Ow!" catching the intention of Indy, saying, noticing that there's a crate hanging over Izuku's head, and she decides to knock it down, causing a minor cradleage? No, that sounds like cartilage. You know, an avalanche of crates. Yeah. On Izuku. As Indy is trying to run over to Mina, and she gets picked up by, or she grabs the hand of Darius that comes back and just starts running. As Indy goes in for a bite, she feels a sharp pain in her tail, and she says, "Ow, who the damn hell tries to bite me?" Oh, as she sees her brother Izuku biting down on her tail. As Indy says, "Ho ho ho, you decided you want to die today, you damn brat." As Izuku says, "Oh, this is gross." Wait, what? As Indy turns around and bites Izuku on the neck, giving Izuku major flashbacks. And I forgot to mention in the first video of the series that Izuku has minor bite marks on his neck, only appearing as like pale green marks that resemble a bite mark. As Izuku basically is trying to figure out a way, but he cannot play possum this time because his sister has learned about that. So what does he do? He grabs, her sister's top jaw and her bottom jaw and starts doing the whole Peter Jackson's King Kong, where Kong decided to open that T-Rex's jaws, splitting them. And trying to keep it away from scratching him or biting him, Izuku decided to throw Indy into a pile of crates and containers, basically burying her. As Izuku is basically running with the campers. As he asks, "Guys, wait for me." As the rest of the campers say, "Okay, is Izuku behind us?" As they notice that Izuku is coming over to them. As Darius says,